All right, so we're gonna do our first Photoshop project this week. I know it's Photopea, but it's pretty darn similar to Photoshop, and it's the best we can do right now, considering our situation where y'all are at home and not able to be here with the computers in the class that do have Photoshop. But from what I can tell, this looks just like Photoshop, and if you can learn this, Photoshop's gonna be the exact same thing, pretty much. Okay, some of the tools may look a little different. Photoshop itself may be a little smoother, but this will still get you those things that you need to know for Photoshop. So what we're going to do first is we're going to create a basic invitation postcard type thing that you guys can also use on your own to create a birthday card, a party invitation, a Valentine's card, Christmas card, birthday card, that kind of thing that you guys can do on your own. Maybe get a little creative with it. Maybe if holidays come up, you can create your own cards this way. It kind of adds like a more personal feel to things. People might be more appreciative because you created it yourself instead of just going to the store and buying one. And then you can just get it printed at like Walgreens or Staples or something like that, and then give your cards out like that you created on your own. It's an option. Now, I'm not saying you have to do all that. I'm just saying it's a cool little thing you can do now that you guys are starting to learn Photoshop. The things that you can create on your own are pretty cool. So what we're going to do first to create our postcard is we're going to create a new template here. So create our our canvas. We're going to create our canvas. So I'm going to go to File up here at the top, New, and then right here it gives you some actual preset sizes based on things that it may be popular. Like this is a social media option here, so there's different sizes. So if you want to create your YouTube cover, your YouTube profile icon, it gives you those actual dimensions already pre-made, so you don't have to mess with it. I mean, it's pretty cool, right? You don't have to look all that up. There is a print option here, um, even ads, screen, so screen, mobile, pretty cool stuff. So you can create your own background wallpaper for your mobile phones. I'm gonna just go to print real quick though, and I'm gonna pick a kind of like, you want it to be rectangular, Ryan. We're gonna do kind of a long post birthday card style. So either A3 or A4 would work. Now I'm assuming A3 maybe standard paper size. I'm not used to millimeters here. I'm used to seeing it in inches. I wonder if there's a way to change that. I don't see an option to change the way it shows up. Well, we'll just do A4 on this one. So I'm going to click A4, go to create, and I get this nice squarish background, okay? It says the layer's locked. By default, usually the background layer is always locked. I'll show you guys how to unlock that later. But for now, since we have our template here, I wish I could scroll down. I'm going to now import the image I want to use for my background. Okay. Now there's multiple ways to do this. You could open it up in a whole new file here, drag it up to your file here, drag it down, and then do it that way. Or you can just import it directly into the template you have. Another thing too is you could actually, if you knew what your background was, just open that picture up itself and then start working on it from there, and that's actually your template canvas. But the problem with that is sometimes the pictures you want to use for your background are not the exact size that you want for the thing that you're working on. So in this case, a postcard, right? Well, if I want some cool background that happens to be really big and wide and it's not this cool nice long one, I would just have to recrop my whole canvas on that anyways. So in this case, I just create the template right off the bat, and then I can put my picture in here and then make my picture fit this template. And I'll show you how to do that. So once you get your picture, now I'm going to provide the first picture for this practice one that we do together on Canvas. So you'll just download that picture, and then you'll just find where you downloaded it and upload it that way. But when you guys do it on your own, you can just go to Google Images and find something on Google Images. All right, so when we want to place it in here, so we're just going to go to Open and Place. All right, and I'm going to find the picture. It's right here, flower pick. It's not even really a flower, it looks like it's a tree, but it imports in here like this. Now it's really small. I don't even think the image itself is actually that small. It's just putting it in there smaller and letting us kind of play with it. Now let me show you a trick real quick. So if I resize this right now, see how it gets distorted and ugly because I'm not doing it perfect? If you want to do it perfect, what you need to hold down on your keyboard is the Shift key. So if I hold down Shift, see, now it's proportional. So it's going to grow proportionally, okay? If I let go of shift, so remember that shift on your keyboard next to Z under the cap lock, right there, shift. If I let go of that, it's not going to be proportional. Maybe that's fine. Maybe you don't care if you make it distorted, but I like my things to look proportional. So I like to hold down shift when I resize stuff. There are some situations where you do kind of have to stretch things a little bit, but in this case, I'm just going to hold down shift, okay? And I'm going to resize it that way. Now, as I resize it, the bottom is right down here. I could just do it just like that and let it be fine, but it's okay too if you just want to make it look a little bit bigger or maybe a little more zoomed in and it grows outside of your template. That's fine. That's what's cool about Photoshop is you can use what you want. So let me just show you an example. So I'm going to make it a little bigger like that. And then I can kind of drag it around now and put it just where I want it with maybe just right there. Actually, let's do it. Yeah, you want to make sure it's covering at least your canvas. So now it's covered, and you'll notice that it's not fitting exactly in there, but it's getting what I want, right? So this is extra stuff, but it's not going to show up because it's outside of my canvas. So you can use parts of an image. Maybe you found some image that's really, really big, but there's a little part of it you like. Well, that's what's cool about Photoshop is it can be stretched and grown bigger to only fit what you want inside the canvas, okay? So once you get it like this, you can press enter on your keyboard or you can press this little check mark. I like to press enter, so I'll just press enter. And it will then set into place right there, okay? Let me see if I can zoom. I'm gonna zoom out just a little real quick. One little cool trick when you're using Photoshop as well, whenever the tools a lot of times have multiple uses, and I'll go over this later when we do more stuff, but see right now the zoom tool shows a little plus sign. Well, if I press Alt on my keyboard, so Alt is below Z on your keyboard next to the space bar, Alt. If you press Alt and hold it down, it's going to show an alternate thing that tool can do. So in this case, the normal one is a plus. So if I click it, it zooms in. But if I hold down Alt, it's a minus. So it lets me zoom out. Okay. So I'm going to zoom out like that. I think it looks a little better so you guys can actually see the whole size of the canvas here. And now in Photoshop, I do know, let's see, maybe this was what's going to show up here. Info. Well, no. Well, I'll go ahead and tell you, well, properties maybe, no. In Photoshop, when you're using a tool, a lot of times the tool's properties will show up here at the top, but I'm not seeing anything for the zoom tool here because usually there's an option up here that says fit to, oh, there it goes. Well, fit to area. Well, I guess that just makes it fit to the area, but there's something that usually says like 100% to make sure that we're at 100%. And it's not showing it on here, but in Photoshop, there is an option for that. So we can see exactly how big our picture is going to be. But that's okay. So let's go ahead and I'm going to click on, so see, you can see when I use my paintbrush, I get some options up here. I'll tell you right now in Photoshop, the options are much, much more. But we'll make do with this, okay? So now that I have my template, my background with my flowers or flower tree, whatever that is, I'm now going to create something at the top that says something like happy birthday, right? So in order to do that, I can use my text tool and write happy birthday, but happy birthday on top of the flowers might not look the greatest. Sometimes it's nicer to have something behind that, like a little background. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a background, like a little square, okay? A rectangle. So what I'm going to do, and remember, you can grow out here on the side. It's okay. It's only going to show up what's in the canvas anyways. So I'm going to start off out here to make sure I get all of it in my canvas. And I'm just going to create kind of a rectangle up here. And on this rectangle is where I'm going to write happy birthday. Now, it's okay to make it bigger, smaller. You can always resize and play around with it later on. But there it is right there. Once it gets right there, I'm going to then fill it in with a color, okay? Now in Photoshop, usually it'll create a new layer over here. So you'll notice we have layers now. We have our background layer, and then we have our flower picture layer. So they're two separate layers, but they're showing up together pretty much, right? Now how this works is basically think of whatever's at the bottom in the very background of your canvas and whatever on the top is on the front. So right now we only have two, right? We have a background and we have a flower pick. Our background's white, but we don't see any of that because our flower pick's covering it up, okay? Because it's on top. Well, let's see what happens when we fill this in. It should create a new layer for us. If it doesn't, I'll show you guys how to do that, but let's go ahead and just see if it auto does it for us real quick. Now, if it doesn't, where's the paint bucket at? Let's see, usually it's right in here. Yep, there it is. I'm gonna fill it in with, color would look good on this, I don't know. Let's do like I don't know, I guess that red might just be fine like that. Okay. And maybe like that. I don't know. That's fine. Let's click OK. All right. So now I got my paint bucket. I can click inside this box and it should have filled it in. Oh, it did. And it actually put it on our background layer. Now see what happened here? So it's because it's on our background layer and our flower picture's on top of our background, it's hiding now. It's hiding in the back. So usually in Photoshop, when you do this, it won't add it to the background because my background's locked, but for some reason it still did it in Photopea. So let me go ahead and guys show you guys, and this is fine. I'm gonna press Control Z to go back, or you can go in history here. See how when I see it says paint buckets there, it shows up, but if I go back one step, it's not there no more. So I'm going back. It didn't work out the way I wanted it to. So let me show you guys what you can do instead here. So we need to create a new layer. It's good. That's what's awesome about Photoshop is layers. It's a way for you to separate things. So you can always go back and correct certain things, move things around. If you do stuff in like Microsoft Paint, there's not layers on there. So things kind of get stacked on each other and become one. So if you ever put something on there, you can't really move it around afterwards because it's one, it's stuck together. So with Photoshop, we can avoid that with layers. Now, let me show you how to create another layer. So right here down at the bottom here, you guys see my mouse? Let me see if I press, I'll just try to see if I could make my mouse show up. If you see right down here at the bottom right, there's a little piece of paper that looks like it's being pulled up. That's how you create a new layer. So I'm going to click on that, create a new layer, and it says layer 1. I'm going to then right click on this and rename it. Okay. The option to rename is not right here. So I think if I just there you go. You just kind of double click on it. I'm going to call this banner top, and I'm going to capitalize that B, banner top. This is just saying that this is the banner that's going to be on top. Come, I have another banner at bottom, right? So banner top, there's my little square there. Now I'm clicked on banner top. See, I'm not on background anymore. I'm on banner top. Go back to my paint bucket. I'm there. Click it, fill it in. All right. It's still hidden though because it's underneath my flower pick. So now what I can do is drag this up above my flower pick so it's on top. And there it is. It shows up because it's on top of my flower pick. Okay. Now that it's on top of my flower pick, great. Now I have this cool little banner that I can write something on top of. Now, let's go ahead and if you want to get rid of these little dots here, what you can do is press Control D. So on your keyboard, that's Control D at the same time, and it kind of deselects whatever you're selected on. That's an important thing because later on when we do selection things, you're going to want to deselect things that you've already messed with so you can select something else. And honestly, if you start selecting something else, it should get rid of your previous selection. But in this case, we're not selecting anything else. So I'm going to press Control D. It goes away. Cool. Okay. One other thing real quick. I don't want to skip over stuff, but you'll notice we have a lot of tools here. Sometimes some of the tools have options inside of them. So there's other tools that are similar, like instead of a rectangle, I could do elliptical. Instead of just a lasso, there's polygonal lasso, magnetic lasso, all these different kind of tools in there. We'll go over these tools in the future as we learn them. But I just want to let y'all know that if you can't find a tool sometimes, it might be because it's hidden inside of another tool. All right. So now that I got my banner, I'm going to try to create this more like a ribbon. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to cut off some of this. So I'm going to use my little tool here and create like a ribbon. Now some of y'all are like, wow, Campbell, that looks really ugly. It's an ugly little cutout. Yeah, it is ugly. So let's think of other tools we can use here instead. So that lasso tool is a freehand tool. I want to use, let's try the polygonal. So what this is going to do is create straight lines, okay, like that, which we can create our better triangle that way. So I'm going to press Control D, deselect that real quick. And I'm going to start up here and I'm going to zoom in actually. So I'm going to press Z on my keyboard and it lets me zoom in. I'm going to zoom in to right here. And if you notice, I held it down and I just dragged my mouse. So if I drag it like that, it can zoom in or out, left or right. So I'm dragging it left or right to zoom in or out. So I'm going to zoom out by dragging left. Anyways, let's try this polygonal. So I'm going to start up here at the corner. I'm going to go about midway. It doesn't have to be perfect. if we wanted a perfect triangle, we could find a perfect triangle shape and cut it out, which we'll maybe practice that stuff later. But anyways, now if you notice, it doesn't matter what I do over here because it's not cutting out what I need. It's empty. That's empty space. So it's okay. What really matters is right here, what's on this ribbon. Okay. So I accidentally double clicked too much. So I'm gonna go back real quick, press Control Z to go back, and there's my little cutout. Now that I have it here, I can press delete on my keyboard and it cuts it out. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all that again. You just press delete on your keyboard and it's gonna cut out what you selected. All right, so there's my cutout. Press Control D, go back to my zoom tool, or I can press Z on my keyboard, and then I'm just gonna zoom out, okay? Or hold down Alt and click, okay? So there's my little cutout. And I said I wanna put a banner at the bottom as well. So let me go show you how to do that too. Instead of creating a whole nother banner, what you can do is come to this banner we have right here, right click on it, and go to duplicate layer. So now I have another copy of my banner. And so when I go to my tool up here, my move tool, my basic move tool, I can grab it and there it is. Okay, it just duplicated it. Now I need it to go the other way though. I want it on this side. So what I'm going to do to flip it is I'm just going to press, let's see, there's a couple options here. I can go to select all and then select, let's see, modify. Okay, well, this might be a little different on here. There should be another option here for me to fix this. Let me show you. Okay, so I'm gonna press Control D real quick. So when you're on a certain object in one of your layers, you can press something called the transform tool to transform and kind of change it up. So in this case, I'm clicked on banner top. I'm gonna go ahead and rename that right now because it's gonna be banner bottom. Okay, banner bottom. Always rename your layers. Oops. Always rename your layers because what will happen in Photoshop is you'll create so many different layers that it's nice to have names for them so that when you have hundreds of layers, you'll be able to find what you're trying to fix a lot quicker, okay? All right, so now that I'm on banner bottom, which is this one, I'm gonna press Control T. Now, let me make sure real quick. Okay, it's not, okay, I'm gonna press Control T, and that didn't work on here. It's like a planned, it's gonna, since it's on a browser, yeah, it's just opening up a new tab. All right, so we're gonna both have to figure this out together since this is a little different than Photoshop. All right, select, okay, so I selected all. I'm gonna go to transform selection, all right. And then now it's selected the whole thing, which in this case, I really just wanted that banner, but it shouldn't matter because it's nothing else but that in this layer anyways. But now that I selected it like this, I can go to right click on it and go to flip it horizontal. And there it goes. Okay, so that worked. All right, let me try and do this a different way too, just to make sure we kind of get this done the right way. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna right click on this. There we go. Let's do this. So when I right click on this, you'll notice there's a difference here. Well, actually, there's not. Well, when you click on it on Photoshop, if you click here, this is called the icon. It shows different options, but it looks like it shows the same options on Photopea no matter what. So in this case, I'm going to right click on this little icon just for the sake of keeping it like Photoshop. I'm going to go to select pixels. So it selects that. And then I can come up here to select and go to transform selection. So you guys got that? So I right clicked here, went to select pixels. So it selects what's inside of that layer, which is this little banner. And then I can go up here to the top where it says select and go to transform selection. Now, when I do this, I can then right click on this and then flip it. Just flip it horizontally. So now it's like that, okay? There it is. I'm gonna just put it over here. In fact, I can even make it a little smaller too if I wanted. But let's just do it like that. Okay. Now that I have those like this, I'm gonna show you two more things. I'm gonna show you to add text, and then I'm gonna show you guys how to just change the brightness if the picture you're using doesn't look so good, okay? And then those are the last two things, and I'm gonna let you guys go and create your own postcard, invitation to a party, that you want to do on your own, okay? For the sake of time here, we don't want to spend too much time on this, but let's go to the tool here. So here's my tool. I can change my options for my tool here, but what I'm gonna do when I'm on my tool is I'm just gonna click it right there. So it created a new layer for me. And then I'm going to start typing. Now, it's really tiny. So what I'm gonna do here is just go up here to my size of my text, and I'm just gonna resize that, okay? And it looks like it only lets me get to 150, which I'm sure we can mess around with and change up later on. But for now, that's fine. And we're just gonna type happy. It's gonna let me type. Or maybe it's because I'm still here. Okay. All right. So if situations like this happen where it's not letting you type, what you can do is just come back over here and double click, and it takes you right back in there. And now I can type happy birthday. Okay. And then I'll put a little exclamation point. And then I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to change the color of it to white. Let's go ahead and do that. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to mess with the fonts, but you have fonts here too you can mess with. But I think that's okay for now. I'm also, let's see if I can just keep making this bigger. Let's see. I'd like to just make this even bigger if I can. It's not, there it goes. Okay, so sometimes when you want to highlight your text or go back into it, you just double click over here and it'll take you right back in it. But I'm trying to see if I can make my font even bigger, but it doesn't look like it's going to let me. This is another thing that's maybe just not as good as Photoshop, but that's okay. I'm going to right click on it though real quick, and I'm going to show you what you can do if you do want to make it bigger. So if you do absolutely want to make it bigger, what you have to do is you have to take it and turn it into a regular image. So right now, see how it's a text? It's a text. And text is only letting us go to 150. Now in Photoshop, I'll tell you, you can make it as big as you want. But in here, it looks like it has a limit. So what we can do to get around that is we can turn this into just a normal image. So it's no longer a text, it's an image now. So by doing that, you click rasterize. So I'm going to click rasterize. And now see, it's no longer a text, it's actually an image now. So now that it's an image, I can right click on it, go to select pixels, okay? Go up here to the top again, go to transform selection, all right? And then I'm just gonna resize it. Now remember, hold down shift to keep it proportional, because if not, you're gonna make it look all weird and funny, which you might not care about. But I'm gonna just hold down shift. And actually, you know what? I'm gonna let go of shift, and I'm actually just want it to look taller, like that. So I'm not holding shift now. Okay, I'm gonna go like this. All right. Okay, so the problem with this too is it only transformed the selection. Okay, so let's go ahead and deselect that. Let's go ahead and just, instead of making select pixels, what we're gonna do here instead is just go up here to the top, modify, well, why is it not letting us change that? Let me try that again. I'm gonna go up to the top, transform selection, we'll do that, press enter. Okay, so this is really not working the way we want it to. Well, for the time being, if we can't get this to change the way we want, we'll just go ahead and make it 150 size right here, and I will get back to you guys during a Zoom meeting or on a next lesson and let you guys know exactly how we can change it in Photopea. But just know in Photoshop, it's a lot easier because you can have any size font you want, and you can resize it easier if you rasterize it like that too. Okay, it does let you do it. So that's just being weird. I don't know why. It's kind of bugging me. I wish we could fix that, but it doesn't look like it's gonna let us. Let me try it like this real quick. Yeah, it's still not. It's just not working right now. All right, that's okay. So what we're gonna do now is just say happy birthday, and then down here we'll write Campbell. Happy birthday, Mr. I'll put Mr. Campbell. Okay, and we have that. Now that's super basic postcard. Of course, if we were doing this for real and we wanted to make lots of money off this, we would sit there and take our time and put. Well, we'd probably be using this on Photoshop too, and we'd have it look really, really nice for what we are able to do. But in this case, it's the best we have right now, and you're learning just the basics. First lesson, okay? Last thing I want to show you guys is, what if your picture that you're using in the background just doesn't look nice? It's dark maybe, but you really like it. There's ways around that too. In fact, it doesn't actually, let me see. We might not be able to do that on here. And look, I think I just noticed. Okay, well, look at this. I think I might have, no, it's still not letting us change it. That sucks. Okay, the channels, paths. Well, we might not be able to do that on here because on Photoshop, I can go ahead and tell you about it. We have what's called adjustments. Okay. And in adjustments, what that does is it gives you these little quick tools that you guys can use to change things fast. So like say I want to change the brightness. Well, there's an adjustment that would be over here and I can just click it and then it would change the brightness. I don't see adjustments on here, unfortunately, but I'll show you guys that on Photoshop on another lesson. Maybe I'll do it on my Photoshop. This is unfortunately not quite up to par with Photoshop. Yeah, it looks a lot similar, but now I'm starting to notice some things that it's missing. But that's okay. It's the best we got, like I said. Oh, wait, there it is. Adjustments. Okay, they do have adjustments. It's just hidden up here. Well, there we go. So we can do it. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to hide these. I can press these little eyeballs here, and it just makes them disappear. They're still there. It's just disappeared. So now I'm going to click on my flower pick. Let's go ahead and change it a little bit. So I'm going to go up here to Image, go to Adjustments, and then I'm going to change the brightness and contrast. Now there's other things here, levels. You can change like the darkness of it. You can maybe bring the darks out more. Curves, exposure, vibrance. We'll mess with these things later. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that. But just for now, let's just do the most basic one that everyone knows, brightness and contrast. So I'm going to click it, and you'll notice it's now added some stuff to that layer. There's some filters going on, some brightness stuff going on. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I can mess with it. And look at that. Okay. In fact, I think this one's honestly too bright. So I'm just actually going to lower the brightness a little, just a little. Okay. Contrast is like the color differences. Just mess with that until you see something you like. Let's see. Yeah, maybe it looks, that was pretty good, I guess. And then I'll just click OK. And if you ever want to go back and fix it, you just double click right here and it'll pop it back up. Okay. So that's very similar to Photoshop. Now, the difference with Photoshop is the adjustments has its own little like box here. That's what I was looking for, but they have it just hidden up here. Okay. Image adjustments. So what I want you guys to do is if you followed along, just watch the video. That's fine. You can go back and watch the video. Pause it at parts if you need to, things like that. But what I want you guys to do is create your own postcard, birthday card, invitation to a party, Halloween card, whatever you guys want. But create your own, okay? If you guys can figure out how to make the text bigger than 150, you can let me know. I'll probably play around with it here in a second. If I'll probably figure out a way we can mess with that. But if you can't, that's okay. You just kind of go along the way I did it. It's just more of seeing if you guys understand the tools and know how to do this. But after you guys do that, make sure you turn in your assignment, turn it in. I want to see what you guys came up with, and I'll give you a grade. All right. That's it for today. Hopefully, I didn't bore you guys to death. Like I said, we're still trying to figure this all out together, and I hope you guys have a good week. See you later.